The Sandy and Toddcast is a Mind Garden media podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions. It's another episode of the Sandy and Toddcast. Hi, everybody. It's Todd.
Hey, everybody. It's Sandy.
And we have one of our favorites, I would say, on the show today on the podcast.
Yeah, without a doubt. The amazing, unbelievable Holly Hughes.
Now, this is something that we had on a live cast not that long ago, and we actually got to meet her daughter beforehand, which was also very special.
Yeah, really cool. She's a great girl.
Yep.
And gifted as well.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll talk about this a little bit on the other side when we come into the program, but she's got something very special about her, and I'll explain that in just a bit. Stand by. Season 3, Episode 9 is on the way. It's called Hooray for Holly Hughes. It's next on the Sandy and Toddcast.
I'm Vicki Hackbarth, owner of Chakra Awakening, LLC. I'm a certified Reiki master providing services which include past life karma clearing. Karma from your past lives affect you today. Karma is the memory of our souls, which often stem from prior lives. What we didn't finish then, we come back to finish now. Unpleasant situations are the consequence of lingering karma, which can be reversed and resolved. I can help you clear the past life karma carried over from former lifetimes. For more information, find me on Facebook at Chakra Awakening, LLC.
Broadcasting from two very different yet magical places not found on any map. Get ready to discuss the strange, weird, ghostly, crazy, spooky, and odd things that take place around us each and every day, all while having a little bit of fun. This is the Sandy and Toddcast.
It is another episode of the Sandy and Toddcast. Thanks for being along today.
Yeah, thanks everybody for sharing this special episode with us. Holly Hughes, one of our favorite people in the world, one of our favorite guests that we've had on our live cast, and now we're bringing the audio version of it to all of our listeners so they can enjoy it as well.
Check this out. So this is going to be Holly's theme now. Hooray for Holly Hughes.
Yeah. She's going to love it, too. Because with her personality, she's going to be all about it.
Can you imagine if we got singers to sing, Hooray for Holly Hughes?
Don't put it past me. I know a lot of musicians. Don't put it past me.
So Holly Hughes, somebody that we got to know. How did we meet Holly? How did that happen?
I belong to a bunch of podcasting groups on Facebook, and I put up a post, randomly, like several months ago, 6 months ago maybe, looking for guests of the paranormal, intuitive, healer, all the woo-woo ilk.
Right.
And Holly replied, and she emailed us, and she said, I'd love to come on and talk to you guys. Little did we know how much we love her, how much we all just love each other, and what great live casts and audio casts it makes. She's an amazing guest.
It really says something for when people say, well, people are brought together for a reason. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what happened there. We could have ended up with anybody. You never know who you're going to get when you reach out. It's kind of an open door policy of, yeah, come on the podcast. You can be on with us. And then you don't know exactly what you're going to get. We scored it big with her.
Oh my gosh, we did. And she loves us, and she keeps in touch with us, and we share her stuff on Instagram, and we talk to her all the time. She comments on our stuff. She sends us messages. I truly think of her as a friend at this point, and she's just wonderful.
And she's also somebody that when it comes to the woo-woo that I connect with a little bit. Like There's some people that you connect with, and then there's other people. Not that they don't know their stuff, not that, they're bad or anything like that. But because you're talking about this stuff, you need that connection. You need to have that trust. You need to have that understanding. And I have that with her.
You know what it is? I think part of it, at least, Todd, is that we're all kind of on different levels.
Yep.
In the
different
world.
And different paths.
And different paths. And so I gravitate more towards people who I feel are on the same page as me. It doesn't mean that anybody else is less valid or their opinions or thoughts or feelings are less valid. It's just that I gravitate towards the people that I feel are in my sort of realm of thinking. And Holly is one of those. She's very balls to the wall, no nonsense. She tells it like it is. She's so intuitive, and she just she's got your number. She's got my number. She knows what's going on.
Yeah, it's almost to the point where it could be scary if you didn't trust her. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So I just love her. I think that she is really just one of those very down-to-earth people. I would like her whether we met her at a coffee shop or if she was a guest on the show. It doesn't matter. We would still gravitate towards her, and that's what I love about her.
And you mentioned her daughter, you know, and the fact that she has talents and gifts as well. Mm-hmm. What a lucky girl to have a mother to be able to guide her through that, you know? Yeah,
especially one like Holly. And I think I said this at one point to Holly. I said, my goodness, you know, growing up, I didn't realize I had gifts, or I guess I didn't realize what I was dealing with until a few years ago. I'm going to be 51 years old. I wish that I had had someone to guide me and say, look, you're not crazy. You're not depressed. There's nothing going on here except it's this. You have these gifts, and this is how you need to manage them. I wish I had somebody who was there to guide me like her daughter does.
And neither one of us have kids. So our way of passing along what we learn or what we have questions about and want to learn about is by sharing it on the podcast. So that's why it's kind of, you're all our children. Oh, come around, Grandpa, and sit on my lap kind of thing.
I try to tell it to Spike, my dog, but he doesn't really care very much.
He actually contacted me about that. He called me on the phone and said that you got to stop that because it really bores the shit out of him.
I just annoy him. He just likes to sleep and eat. That's about it. He won't go outside in the rain.
Yeah, it's raining the day that we're recording this, and he will not go out. So he didn't go out at all?
No, he's been out. Well, I say he was out 1.5 times. Well, maybe two times total, because he sort of went out, said, no way. I had to pick him up and carry him out. The first time, nothing happened. Second time, it was like half of one. And finally, he did a full-on go pee, but I don't think we're going to get number 2, at least for a while.
Winston's the same way. He's not a big fan of the rain. And so he will go out and pee real quick unless it's downpour. Then he won't. But he will not pee if it's even like misting outside. You know, he's too good for that.
You know what's weird about that, too? I don't know if Winston is like this, but in the wintertime, Spike is absolutely fine. As long as it's not, a blizzard, snow doesn't bother him at all. It's something about the rain that he just does not like. And it's to my detriment because I'm the fool that's soaking wet every time I try to take him out. And he's like, no, this isn't going to happen. So
we're going to get to talking with about Holly Hughes and with Holly Hughes in just a bit with our audio cast here. I did want to mention quickly one thing about her daughter because she brought it up when we were doing the podcast that night. And before we do a live cast, we always kind of sit down for 15, 20 minutes ahead of time. And we kind of lay the groundwork for what we're going to talk about, how we might talk about it, all that kind of stuff, and just catch up, see how everybody's doing. And Holly's daughter was with her. And this is all about me this time, but her daughter said that when she looks at me, she sees river rock. Mm-hmm. And so that was very interesting to me, and it will stick with me for the rest of my life. I said, what does that mean exactly? She says, well, if you look at a river rock, it's stone. It's cold. It's hard, on the outside. Mm-hmm. But if you feel it, it's really smooth and soft.
Yep.
And I thought, oh, that's so sweet. Now get out of my head is basically what I wanted to say.
She was right on.
She was.
Seriously was right on. You have, and understandably so, Todd, you have built up a lot of walls.
Oh, yeah.
And you've toughened yourself up over the years. And you've done that because you sort of had to. And so, but underneath of that is, and I won't get into it too much, but underneath that is a really sweet, caring, wonderful person. Blech. And are you going to get sick?
Blech.
Blech. And a really sweet, caring, understanding person that not many of us see. I am fortunate to see that, but she was so
Occasionally.
dead on.
Yeah, I know she was.
She really was. And it kind of took me by surprise because here's this 13-year-old young lady who's got your number just like her mother has our number. And that was pretty amazing.
So one of the things that happened to us this week really happened to you. But because I'm your friend and I pretend to care,
Yeah.
I kind of went through it with you, but certainly not in your shoes when it came to this. You had a little bit of a procedure this week.
Yeah.
That was very
and
important.
Very important. Okay, so in 2012, I was diagnosed with diabetes, and I was also diagnosed with retinopathy. And what that is it affects your eyes, and hopefully, if you catch it early enough, you can stall any progression of it for many, many years. It doesn't always work out that way. It has a mind of its own. Ever since I was diagnosed, I have really tried very hard to control my blood sugar. I get blood work every 3 months to make sure my organs are all functioning, and I'm doing really, really well. I've been doing pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
So I went to my retinal specialist. I go to a regular eye doctor every year, and then I went to my retinal specialist once a year as well. And I just went to him a month ago, and he took all these crazy pictures like he does every year. My eyes get dilated. They check my retina, the back of my eye, everything you can imagine. Not seeing, just regular bad eyesight, but with corrective lenses. I'm usually around 20/20. And all of a sudden, my last weekend of camping, I get a little hemorrhage in my eye. And I ended up going to my eye doctor, and then he referred me to my retinal specialist. And sure enough, my retinopathy has decided to start progressing.
And again, I just want to make sure that this is very clear. 2 weeks earlier, she got a full clean bill of health. We actually celebrated a little bit. There was a little confetti thrown, hey, right? And then 2 weeks later, she's like, there's something weird about my eye.
Yeah, it was weird. I thought it was a floater because I've never even had floaters in my eye. Well, it wasn't a floater. It was a little blood vessel that had ruptured. And it wasn't quite in my retina, but it was affecting my eyesight. And so when I went into the retinal specialist, they did more pictures, the whole 9 yards, and saw that my blood vessels in my eyes are starting to swell. And what can happen is that they can sort of leak and bleed, and you can lose your eyesight. So one of the scariest things to me is losing my eyesight. So I opted I laugh, not because it's fun, but I opted to every 6 to 8 weeks for I don't know how long, get injections in my eyes with medication to try to stop the progression of this disease.
Now, this is kind of new to me because for some reason I was thinking it was every 3 to 6 months, but it's every 6 to 8 weeks.
Well, to start off, at least for maybe 6 months, I have to go every 6 to 8 weeks. Then they're going to check me out in 6 months, do the full thing again, and see if I've stopped it, if it's stabilized. If it has, they'll move me to every 3 months. And then if it stabilizes after maybe a couple of years, then I might be able to stop it for a little while.
Gotcha.
But basically, the whole idea is I'll probably be getting injections in my eyes for the rest of my life, at least on and off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was interesting. The procedure itself was not painful at all. I was really scared of what the after effects were. I don't usually get nervous about procedures. I've had a couple surgeries. I've had some procedures done with other doctors, and I don't really get nervous about those because I know that for the most part, the actual procedures themselves aren't very painful. Modern medicine allows us to do it fairly pain-free.
Yeah.
But I was really scared of what was going to happen to me afterwards. And I would say that on the annoyance, I think I told you this yesterday, I was around 6 or 7, but I was afraid it would be a 10 or 11. So that was okay. I'm doing much better today. Just a couple of little things going on, but otherwise I'm much better than I was yesterday. So I'm relieved in a way, but my only message to everybody is make sure you take care of yourself, especially if you have diabetes. It's never too late to start making sure that your blood sugar is in check, that you're staying healthy, that you're eating the right foods, that you're taking your medicine like you should, that you're doing everything that you should be doing, because I was doing that and it still progresses. It's just like diabetes, it's a progressive disease. I could possibly go back on insulin someday. I was on insulin when I first got diagnosed to bring it down quickly, my blood sugar. And then I weaned myself off of it, but with my doctor's blessing. So I haven't been on insulin in 8.5 years, but I may have to go back someday. But this is just as bad as diabetes itself because it progresses. So please, if you're a type 1 or type 2 diabetic, I cannot stress enough how important it is to really keep yourself under control, because at least then you can put it off for as long as possible. I just wanted to tell everybody that, because this is not fun. This is not fun. It's not as bad as I thought it would be, but now I have to go back in December and do it again, and then again after that. So celebrating the birthday month in February with eye injections.
Listen, at least you won't forget your birthday. You know, it'll be like, that was the birthday that I got the eye shot.
Did you just say listen?
Yes, I did. I'm using you against you. I know. I'm using you against you. So.
So anyways, yeah, so that's just my story. That's my thing this week. But I have to say thank you for being there for me. You and Dave, both of you, totally been there for me. So
don't have a choice, right? We don't have a choice.
Stuck with me for life.
Exactly.
And death. We're going to haunt people together.
See, that's where I need to get some sort of voodoo witch to take care of that kind of stuff.
See?
All right, let's do it. Let's bring Holly on. Season 3, Episode 9 of the Sandy and Toddcast. Hooray for Holly Hughes. Let's bring her out. She's been flailing in the background. She has so much to tell us.
Go.
Say hi to Holly Hughes, ladies and gentlemen. There she is.
Yay! I think stay out of the mist should be a t-shirt.
That's what I know. I love it with our logo on. I think it would be cool. It's sort of like our catch line: "Stay out of the mist."
Yeah,
I love
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
Although you're not going to hurt your ankle when you finally go in the spring, but as long as you're not going next month, there's something really dirty. So so I don't want to fail, but I have a thing. So my thing with Todd, with your woo-woo-ness, because you're an empath, you're struggling with pain. So it's very hard to be open if you have some sort of physical pain or ailment, right? The woo-woo stuff kind of fades when that happens. But I think you connect in the opposite direction that many people who first learn how to connect. So a lot of people, when they learn to quiet and meditate, they kind of go here up. They kind of go into space. They feel lightheaded, whatever. But you're super grounding. You're super, for lack of a better word, a lower vibration, like a didgeridoo, like all of that really cool stuff in Australia, like that kind of vibe. All right, my cat's eating the cord. Hold on. I'm my computer's about to go flying.
Now I want that on a t-shirt. My cat's eating the cord. Yeah.
Cat is eating the cord. Sounds dirty, but it's not.
I know.
So, but I think that you ground this way down. Mm-hmm. And so you are really connected to elementals and different energy, and the people around you are connected to a higher sound vibration, and yours is lower, and that's why it's just a little different for you. So I bet, looking at you, if you want to dare, hold up your pendulum, and I bet we can make a move.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, hold on.
My first question is, have you guys cleared it? Did you do the salt? Did you clear out your
No,
energy?
I didn't do any of that stuff, because then somebody said you shouldn't have to do that, but I don't know. It's just been sitting.
You do, because other people touched it. Oh. Right. So a lot of people who do tarot won't let other people really touch their cards, because then their juju gets all over it. Whatever,
right.
So.
I have not done that to this.
All right. Are you a righty or a lefty?
I'm a righty.
All right. I think you're just really Hayoka in a lot of ways, which means don't ever look it up, because I did, and it's very depressing if you look at a lot of it.
Oh,
but Hayoka, because I'm that too. So a lot of people's chakras, most people go in clockwise, but I'm Hayoka. Different beat. I go the opposite. So those people, I think you're one of them. You're here to be a little bit of a disruptor in the world, right?
Whoa, yes.
So that's your energy is different. So which way do I want? I'm mirroring. All right, just try holding it your right over your left.
All right, let me just turn off the fan so that doesn't.
This is exciting.
Oh, stop it. All right. Let's see. Can you see it? Okay. Yeah. So you want it in my right hand, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep.
So you just hold the very top. Are you holding the ball on the top or the chain?
Yes. I'm holding the ball. The chain is actually a little bit kinked. So
yeah, there's someone there. Okay, interesting. All right, put it back on camera so everyone else can see.
All
Cheater.
Right,
there you go.
There we go.
Put your other hand under.
Yeah.
Just go like that. Put your hand under like that. A little lower. I'm already saying, show me yes.
Oh.
Stop. Now I'm moving, so stop.
No.
It's not you, babe, but you can think that. Show me no.
All right, get this thing out of here.
See,
yeah, but see, she was asking it to do it.
No, I was just channeling energy through you so that you could feel how it is.
So basically, when I do it, this is what it does to me.
Yeah.
Okay. It just kind of goes, I ain't working.
Because you have an expectation and you're drawing the same kind of snarky energy.
Mm-hmm.
So what you are gathering are earth guides. So they're very earth related. So I want you, if you want to try it when no one is looking, just think of your feet touching the earth or touch the earth, or just think of whatever earth is to you. So that's the elemental of literally of ground, rock, metal. There's all sorts of things, wood, water, some, but that's a different one for you. Anyway, when you think of that, and say, and in your mind say, I'm just pulling the strength of the earth, show me yes. It will start to move just a little because it knows you're a skeptic, which is fine. You could be a skeptic. That's right. Whatever. And then when you finally want to ask it a question to test it, right? Because I told these guys before, mine always lies.
Right. You did say that.
I did. Mine always lies. And I was like, I asked another person who's pretty intuitive, why does mine lie? And they're like, well, you don't need it. Mm-hmm. And they're like, so they're not going to let you use that tool. I have several tarot decks of different sorts. They're over there. That's why I'm looking that way. And I can pull really well for myself, but I don't I get hung up on what the right interpretation of them is. So that's not my best thing. And me listening to the clairaudience stuff that I get is way easier than that card means on this day when it's reversed. I can't, it's like too much to know for me.
You know what? I have to tell you that I really appreciate the fact that you actually said that, because from the outside looking in, I look at someone like you and many people like you, and I think, boy, they really got everything together. They got all the answers. They know all the answers. They're, really skilled at all these different things. And to have you say it doesn't work for me, or that's not my thing, it doesn't means a lot.
Yeah,
it means a lot.
It really does.
Like Reiki isn't for me either. I only ever let one person do it. And I know it's real, but a lot of people who are learning, the vibration of Reiki sounds like this, literally sounds like this. And I'm like, why would I ever want to hear that?
Right.
And so it's not my modality, right? It's just, that's not how I do it. I feel a lot when I just go like this, right?
Isn't it though, part of it, isn't the beauty in it knowing what you're good at and what you're not, so that you can concentrate on the things that you're good at?
Sure.
I think that's part of the journey. I think of developing and learning how to understand and manage it is just for example, things will come into my head, pictures will come into my head, but I don't see people, or maybe I don't allow myself to see people.
I don't know what that means. What's the difference?
You know what I mean? How some people will they'll stand there and they'll say, okay, there's somebody standing right there in front of me. That's not me. But I'll get pictures and
you're
flashes.
Just not there yet.
Yeah.
That's different. You're developing. You guys are in an interesting period of leveling up. I like to call it, right? I had a lot of gifts. I didn't have control. I would randomly see dead people. I would randomly know stuff. And I was like, well, that's annoying. So I think when you decide to discover, right? They are giving you information in a way that you can process.
Okay. That makes sense.
So for me, I can see that you can see light there though. I feel like when I go through your energetic, when you get to know things, like if it's a person, like I think ultimately you'll be able to see the opposite of a shadow. It looks like white light to me.
Okay.
So, and I think you'll see that shape, and then you can ask that shape, and that shape can speak to you in pictures.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Holly, because,
and sound, and they're going to mess with your taste buds eventually.
I do. Great. No,
Nuts
I
on
do.
Clark.
I know. One time a smoker came through and I was like, what that? Like nicotine.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I can touch things. That I can do without a doubt. I can get stuff. We were in Oshkosh and we went to the Grand Opera House and I put my hand on the building and it was literally vibrating for me. And like I can touch things and feel things that way. We know what happened when we were in Plainfield with the grave. And but that to me is just something that's developing in me now, I think.
Yeah, I think the way for you, like what I would ultimately do is like, right. So how I do my modality of intuitive healing, I get the emotional experience of it. So that's like a lot of feelings, right? So then you have to learn that when you're doing healing work, you're not giving your energy. You become a channel of whatever it is that you connect to. Everyone connects to different things. Me and a friend, she's very talented. She's actually a sound healer. She plays gongs and bowls, but we see similar things differently, but get the same information, right? So like whoever wants to reach out to you will guide. My only tiny concern with you, with how you like to be tactile, is you absorb it all, but do you let it go after?
I try to. I don't know that
I want to bring Todd in on this one. I'm like, he's got a lot to say. Look at that expression.
I don't know that I'm good at it all the time, but I try to.
I worry about that with her. She also has this. She has this. Confidence is good, but she has this confidence that scares me a little bit. Like instead of thinking before she makes that step, or looking down before she makes that step, she just steps into it. Which I understand. There's a lot of there's confidence there. There's also a lot of energy and excitement about doing that. But that's what worries me the most. Like,
I don't know that it's confidence, though, Todd. I think it's just more like that thirst for the knowledge of it, that thirst for
you're going to get your thirst quenched real fast one day, and then I'll be sitting there going, well, she was a nice person, she's dead now.
She's an act, think, feel, like that's how, right?
It's just how I am.
Yeah, that's how she is.
But I am learning to be much more careful. I never, you know what, if Plainfield taught me anything, it was that lesson that I can't just go and do something without thinking first, because I did not ever expect expect what I experienced when I put my hand on the stone.
Yeah. I think also what they're showing me for you, and then I promise not to read you because then that's like a lot of information. But what I'm seeing is, and I don't have any of them close to me, but singing bowls?
I have one.
Okay. Do you have a copper one?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're going to do after you're done with whatever an experience going, I want you to bring the bowl with you and tap it and clear yourself like with the sound of it before you drive anywhere. And and then consciously you say, no one follow me home and I'm done now.
Yeah.
Love and light, nothing. Yeah. Like we went house hunting once and the house was we pulled up, I started getting a headache. I'm like, way too many dead people. There's no way I'm living anywhere on this block. It's awful, awful, awful. And before we went to the next house to look for it, whatever, I had made my husband pull over and rubbed my hands in someone else's yard. I was like, do not follow me anywhere.
Can you imagine looking out your window and here's this woman out in your yard just kind of rubbing things in,
That sounds wrong. That just sounded
well,
really
I'm
wrong.
just saying it does sound wrong from start to finish.
Our live casts always go in these weird directions. I don't know. But it's true, though. And I will say, as far as seeing light, does that include, there are some nights when I'll lay in bed, and thank you, by the way, because remember when you told me that I had people with me all the time? I actually started setting boundaries at night because I was having wild dreams. Like really, Todd remembers this. I was having some really strange dreams, just like really out there. And I started to set boundaries. And each night before I go to sleep, he's laughing at me. Each night before
he's eating something and he's not sharing. This is what I'm thinking right now.
I got lifesavers. But the reason why I was laughing is because I don't remember because I have no memory.
Oh, that's right. When he was really sick, like I could tell him anything and he wasn't going to remember it. But I was having really, really bad dreams. And so after our live cast, each night I started setting boundaries with them and saying, you need to leave me alone tonight while I sleep. And I say this each night. I don't want you in my head. I don't want you near me, nothing. And I have not had dreams like that since I started setting that intention. So thank you. But one thing that happens to me sometimes at night is I'll be laying there with my eyes closed and it looks like a bright light.
Yeah.
And I'll get flashes of a bright light.
That's what I was doing just before. I was like, it's bright light. Yeah, those are your guides. That's just love and light coming at you. That's some good juju.
Yay. That makes me happy. I thought it was the strangest thing, but then when you said light, I was like, wait a minute, maybe that's what that was. So
yeah, it's also they come and check in on you. Like they like to come and like visit and look and it's nice. It's all good stuff.
Cool. Very cool.
So we were talking. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I have a question about clearing energy. Last weekend, I was around people a lot, and that's not something that I do much anymore. And I learned how to, this isn't really about me, but it kind of leads me into the question. I learned how to sort of block that energy when I need to and try to manage it better. I was at a rehearsal dinner and a wedding. And
did you not like the people? Because the face you just, I was like, Todd, you didn't jump on that. It's like,
because I knew who was there. I was there the entire time with her. I actually had to block myself from her that night.
He did.
Remember,
he told me he blocked me. He blocked me. We are that connected, Holly. I'm not kidding you.
Well, I told you what I felt like between you guys when that other stuff was happening. That's really hard.
What stuff? I don't remember what.
Oh, no, because I emailed Sandy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, you can share.
No, when you were feeling, you revealed something really intimate and powerful last time about when you were having those suicidal ideations, right? That it was someone else's, and she was also like getting headaches and that's when I sent you that message, right? That you can differentiate when it's yours for where it is in your body and where you're feeling it, right? So, I always like to tell people who have some gifts, especially empathic people, anxiety, like a good message shouldn't cause anxiety, right? Like you can have anxiety when you don't make a choice. That happens a lot. Or you can be overwhelmed by other people's feelings. And that's usually most of the time what is causing anxiety. And I feel like you had a panic attack during that.
Yeah.
He's not responding. I'm waiting for the nod. Give me the nod.
I'm sorry. You were saying that you think I had a panic attack?
Yeah. I feel like for me, it feels super heavy here. The thoughts were like, it just was so not you.
Yeah. I don't know that it was, I don't know that I perceived it as panic. I just remember feeling absolutely like I had no other choice. Like this was what was probably going to be the outcome for me. And I didn't understand exactly why. So it was very sad. A lot of tears, a lot of, when it's one of those things where you're looking, but there's no color in your vision. That's how dark it was. It took the color out of it. So
it was so strange because it was a Sunday afternoon. It was quiet.
It's always Sunday afternoons. I don't know why.
I know. It's really weird.
You better start watching TV then.
Gotta do something.
Right? Do something. But it was really strange because I can't remember if he messaged me first or I messaged him, but we were in contact. And right before that, I just felt so off and so weird. And then when he messaged me, we voice message. I had never heard him like that before, ever.
Yeah, he told me, I heard him say he doesn't really like those. I heard that, right?
Yeah.
When you like hold the button down and like.
Oh my gosh. Cause it happened again. Like she'll do 5 in a row and they're all 1 minute long. Cause that's as long as you can make them. So then I've got to take 5 minutes out of doing whatever I'm doing to listen to her conversation.
Am I just so old that I just like pick up the phone?
He doesn't have to do it all at the same time, but it's faster than me typing it.
You can't go. I can't listen to your message and then stop for a while and then come back to the next minute of it. I mean, it doesn't really. It's not. So, doesn't flow that way.
But he does it to me all the time too. Mm. But it was really strange. And so when he told me, I think Saturday night, he told me he blocked me. It made perfect sense because I was having some anxiety at the beginning until I settled down and kind of as an empath or with the energy, I sort of have to kind of stake it out a little bit and see where I should be going and what I should be doing to sort of save myself a little bit. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, I'm always very anxious and reading all this energy. And then I settle down and I sort of, compartmentalize and I move it away from me. But it was really, really a weekend of a lot of energy.
And you were asking about grounding after that. What can you do, right?
Yeah.
Clearing that?
Yeah. What can you do to ground yourself?
After a really heavy episode like that, I would 100% say salt bath.
Yeah.
Like you just got to float in a lot of Epsom salt. If anyone was wondering, regular Epsom salt, there's smelly ones that are awesome. There's pink, you get as fancy as you want, but you don't need to. Right. But that, and for that energy, for me, I literally stick my hands in dirt. I will go dig a hole. I will go in a garden. I'll make a garden. I'll plant some things. I like to create life when I'm feeling those overwhelming dark things. So I go literally to the opposite of it. That really works for me. Sound has a profound effect on me that way as well. I think if anyone out there is just discovering their gifts, you guys have so many amazing people who are really good at being more, and this sounds snooty, and I don't mean it that way, but just more at the beginning of the discovery of their journey of what your talent and gift is. Mm-hmm. And you can always do things I think I said this to you guys too, ask yourself, is this my feeling or is it not?
Yeah.
Right? What's making me feel this way? If you have no logical reason, I'm going to let you know that it's probably right, someone else's. And then you can give it a color or a shape, and you can create and make something manageable out of it, right? If it's overwhelming darkness, to me, it's a ginormous ink blot, right?
Yeah.
And depending on your generation, ways to get rid of it is you can give it up to love and light. You can ask it to pass it to an angel. You can just ask for help for it also. But we were talking about this in my house the other night and I can't remember why, but you remember back in the day, Superman with Christopher Reeve, they had that dimensional portal that was that flat glass,
yes.
Stick that and throw it to space, just get rid of it. Or what you guys did, which was amazing and beautiful. You reached out for a friend because you knew you were overwhelmed. That I think is the hardest thing to do, asking for help.
Yeah.
Right. Or just asking for someone to hold the space to hold you because it's crazy. Mm-hmm. That is a huge thing. And then you can figure out more. Sometimes it's not spontaneous. Right. I think as a healer, my buttons get pushed too. Right. So things happen to me and an old button. Okay. I'm wearing my Mercury's in retrograde shirt because the world is
I love it.
Messing with me right now, but it triggers my old stuff. And I'm why is this bothering me when I dealt with it forever ago? Is it a client coming up? Maybe is it some similar to that? So because I get messages in emotional stories in my body, sometimes I have to figure out, am I really mad? Why did I wake up so sobby? Some days I'll just be sobbing until the client comes. I'm you can take your energy back and we'll heal you, but I don't need it that much. So it's true. It's a lot.
All right. And let me ask you this, because I think there might be a lot of people on the beginning of their journey. I'm past this part of it now, but I remember being this way in the beginning. As you discover that you have abilities, you have gifts. I have a friend who's just sort of starting out on that journey, realizing that there are some things in their life that they have abilities, they have gifts.
They can hear. They're clairaudient. They hear things. Yeah.
They're starting to get guidance from a lot of different people. Mm. And so their head is sort of like a squirrel trying to cross the road, all over the place. How do they, my suggestion to them was take it one thing at a time, because the rest will be there for the rest of your life. So learn A first. Try to learn about A first. Manage A. Then you can move on to B.
That friend, it's kind of similar like to what Todd like talks about when we were talking about before about what modality works for you or doesn't, right? Like, so when you get excited about something, you want to gobble all sorts of things up. But I think for that person that you're talking about, what I feel is that they have to learn to meditate first. They have to learn to get quiet. And then whatever message they get while they're quiet, then they can learn how to receive it, interpret it, and know what it means and get comfortable with that and then go bigger. And then the hard part is too many chefs spoil the broth, right? Like everyone has an opinion and none of them, right? So you could be like, oh, I really thought that. And then 5 other people like, no, I know it means that. Like, I don't do that for people who are learning. My thing is like, what do you think? What do you feel? And I'll be like, what I'm seeing is this. Do you see anything similar? Does that ring true for you? It might not, because maybe I'm wrong, or maybe they're not there yet. Right. So it's okay to go slow. I've had these gifts my whole life. Right. Like, so, and sometimes I call them, they're telling me to call it an ascension when you like level up. So there's always a hiccup. And my experience of when my gifts get bigger and better and I tune into more, I'll just call it cosmic love, like the better stuff. Right. I tend to have to go through some emotional growth and pain here. You got to like let go of something. You have to be the vessel open, right? Like a lot of people are like, your friend is like a thumbnail. And if they're getting a fire hose, a lot's just going to go over. It's okay to, enjoy this and then go a little bigger. They feel like art related to me. I think it's you too. I keep seeing like images. So like, I feel like you're going to be able to get stuff off of old paintings. Mm-hmm. So for you, that's kind of interesting. And I feel like your friend is going to have information told to them in color. So I feel like they hear things and then I see flashes of color and those colors will mean something to them eventually.
Did you mean I get things off of old paintings?
Mm-hmm.
I actually had an experience just like that. I had an experience.
Hang on one second. I'm just going to do this with my microphone real quick.
I was in the old Maine, the old Utica Lunatic Asylum.
She should have been there the first time around, to be honest with you.
What are you doing? You nutter?
It was before I knew anything. It was one of the reasons why I sort of started on the journey to begin with, because I didn't understand what had happened to me.
Because you heard the woman screaming in the painting? I'm like, what? That is crazy.
Dave and I walked into this room. Because after the tour, they let you kind of wander around a little bit. We walked into this room that had all these paintings. And as soon as I walked into the room, I felt like I just got hit in the chest and I couldn't breathe. And I was having a panic attack. And I said, Dave, get me out of here. Get me out of here. So he led me out and then I felt fine. But come to find out, it was paintings done by some of the residents. Yeah. And at the time,
didn't you know her? Couldn't you do anything about this?
I didn't know her at the time. This is well before my time.
That was like 10 years ago, at least 10 years ago.
If I would have known these stories when she reached out and said, "Hey, I like your TV show. Can we be friends?" I would have said, "Sorry, block that bitch."
I won't even tell you about the Holocaust Museum.
No, I can't go in there.
It was bad. I thought I could. This was way before too. This was like 2008 before I had any idea. And it makes so much more sense to me now, these episodes. But at the time, I didn't understand.
I think that's actually tied to a past life for you.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is.
I think in conversations with her about it and some of the stuff that she's told me, I think we kind of resolved to believe that as well.
I do believe it.
Holly, you made a good point, and I think Sandy made a good point, and it's something that I kind of believe, and that is, as you are learning, as you are growing, you kind of find that teacher, that person that you connect with, and you learn best from them, maybe a couple of people, but if you've got all these different voices saying all these different things, and it doesn't quite mesh with where you're at, or your gifts, or your beliefs, because I think everybody does have a little bit different belief. Things work differently for them. Doesn't make one person right or wrong. I think finding that one or two people that you kind of hold dear to yourself and feel like you can learn from, that's the way to go. And that's just part of the reason why we love Holly Hughes. Part 1.
I love her. Just part 1 of the reason why we love her. Part 2 next week on our audio cast. And it's going to be really, really fun to hear the rest of that interview. I listened to it a couple of times myself, so.
Well, but here's the thing. Sometimes when people talk, you don't hear the whole thing. And so I think it's always really, really important to listen to things a couple of times. I'll rewatch our podcasts and our live casts because there's stuff that I miss every once in a while.
So do I. And it's so funny because I'll message you. I'll watch it like the next day. It's sort of like me with investigations, like being intuitive and being open during an investigation takes so much energy out of you. And so because you're connecting, you're feeling energy, and we all know how tired we get after we, I don't know how tired you get after you run a couple miles, but some people do. But how exhausted you can be after expelling a lot of energy. Well, how about taking on so much energy? And so that kind of happens with me after our live cast because we're just having so much fun and we're so into it. So usually the next day I'll go watch them or I'll listen to an audio cast, and I always go, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that we even talked about that. I forgot that we even said that. And I say, oh my gosh, Todd, we're so funny. We are.
Maybe.
Feeling a bit lost? Not sure what's holding you back? A transformational tarot session with Eclectic Path Wellness can provide the guidance you need, combining tarot and coaching to help you understand and navigate the changes you may face. Heal, empower, and clarify your path. Connect with us on Facebook at Eclectic Path Wellness.
Holly Hughes has a great website. It's hollyhughesintuitive.com. You can check that out, and also link to all her social media from there as well. I know she's on Facebook and Instagram and other stuff. hollyhughesintuitive.com.
Follow her Instagram because she's always putting up little videos to help you in your day and give you advice. And especially if you're an empath or you kind of just have anxiety, she's just amazing for that. So make sure you follow her on Instagram.
And that is Holly_Hughes_intuitive at Holly_Hughes_intuitive if you want to find her on Instagram. We will have part 2 with Holly next week on the Sandy and Toddcast. Until then, we invite you to listen to our podcast everywhere you can get podcasts. Make sure and tell a friend about us. Let them know about our live cast that we do on Facebook and YouTube and also on Twitter. And also join our group, Stay Weirdos, the Friends of the Sandy and Toddcast. Join us there. You get extra content, actually. You get extra content.
We do a bunch of extra content. I do a Sandy Cemeteries podcast that only goes to our Stay Weirdos friends. We also have an after the live cast where we sort of keep the cameras rolling after we sign off for the night, and it's extra video, extra chat. Who knows what you're going to find in those conversations, and it's a lot of fun. So that's content that's only for our group, Stay Weirdos, Friends of the Sandy and Toddcast. We also have some fun interactions in there, just a safe space for people to go and share their thoughts, feelings, ideas, have questions answered, all that kind of stuff.
Lots of memes and GIFs, all that kind of stuff. Funny memes and all that kind of stuff you can find there as well.
And don't forget, you and I have the Empathicary podcast that's out now. We already have 3 episodes under our belt. And so please make sure that you search for the Empathicary podcast in the same places that you find this podcast.
Correct. It will be there, and we will be there with you.
That's right.
All right. Well, until next time for the Sandy and Toddcast, bye.
Bye.